Hello, everybody, and welcome to All About Movies, the podcast talk show all about movies. I'm your host, Evan. I have a film degree. I work doing video stuff, kind of make films on the sides, you know. There's my qualifications. I'm here joined with Alix, frequent guest on the show. She's a film student over at the University of Iowa. Works on a lot of video stuff on the side. There's her qualifications. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Today we've got a special episode for you guys. Since it's about halfway through the year, we're going to be looking back at the films that have, been quality. Mm-hmm. We're going to do a nice little top 5, each of us giving you our top 5 of the year. We're going to do the top 5 of stuff that we had hoped to see, but we didn't get the chance to yet. And then kind of a top 5 of things that we think look good, that are coming out in the rest of the year. So, you excited?
I'm very excited, yeah.
All right. Since I'm the host, I'll start this off.
All right.
We'll get the ball rolling here. My number 5, we're counting down, 5 to 1.
Down.
My number 5 here is Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Yeah. For those who don't know, it's about King T'Challa. He returns after his appearance in Captain America Civil War for his own film. He goes back to his home country of Wakanda for his coronation ceremony after receiving justice for his father's death. This is complicated by the return of an enemy to his country, Claw, and also a competitor to the throne. I probably didn't need to give the synopsis, as everyone listening probably already saw this. Crashed box office numbers, and that's probably because it's a great movie. Word of mouth, all that kind of thing. I'm a sucker for the Marvel movies, as I've mentioned on here before. I've seen all of them in theaters, plan on keeping that streak up. That being said, the spectacle often kind of wears off on repeated viewings and like at home when you're not on the big screen. It's just not as great. And while I haven't gotten to watch this again, it came out pretty recently.
Yeah.
It still had a short window, shorter than most, between being in theaters and being released. But I still haven't watched it at home yet. But it feels like it'll be a lot better than a lot of these other Marvel movies at being rewatchable.
Yeah.
It's got a really good villain. The story arcs are they're pretty great. It feels almost like a Shakespearean tragedy. And perhaps, that's a little wanky about the movie. I don't know. But I think it does. It at least is inspired by that kind of thing. And it's self-contained. So like if you haven't seen the other stuff, it's not a problem. And while I don't feel that you need to have them self-contained in the Marvel movies, because it's nice that the heroes go amongst each other in the films, I feel with this movie, it only helps.
Yeah.
That it's pretty self-contained.
Yeah. Especially because T'Challa came into the universe pretty late. So it's nice that he got that, like, pretty late in the whole, like, Avengers timeline. So it's nice that he got to have, like, his own standalone film to kind of give us more backstory and give us a little stronger of a feeling on him before we got to Infinity War.
That's true, and often I don't love origin stories, but this one doesn't feel too much like an origin story because you're kind of thrust into the middle of things.
Yeah,
which I enjoy.
So if you're done on your number 5, my number 5, funny enough, was Infinity War.
Interesting.
Yeah. Got that Iowa representation with Anthony and Joe Russo.
Yeah, they went to school here at the university.
Yes. Not the only Iowa filmmakers on this list.
True.
Ooh.
It's been a good year for Iowa.
It has.
Yeah, nice foreshadowing there, too.
It has. What I didn't realize about Anthony and Joe Russo is that they also directed Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And Civil War.
Yes. And
then also You and Me and Dupree.
Yeah. Someone doesn't listen to the podcast episodes that she's not on.
That's true. It was really bizarre. I was like, what else have these guys done? I should know about the people that are making movies that I love. And I was like, oh, That's pretty weird.
No, I
That's
agree with you.
Stark contrast. It's so weird how much they direct together.
They've done a lot of TV as their big thing.
I forget what show it was, but I think House. Or maybe that was someone else.
That might have been someone else.
Someone
they did
else?
a lot
Okay.
of Arrested Development.
Yeah.
And they worked some on Community.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, someone else was House. But yeah, they've got like another project coming up together.
Another
which is fun.
non-Marvel project?
Yeah.
Good for them.
Right? But no, I really liked Infinity War. And what I liked about it was that I was going in with very low expectations because I didn't really know how they were going to handle so many storylines intertwining and like culminating in this big finale. A kind of finale, like it's a part one, so we're definitely getting more after it, but this was like the big battle that we've kind of been leading up to, and I'm assuming in the next one we're gonna kind of deal with the repercussions of that, and like the world will be righted from there. But yeah, I really liked how they managed all of those storylines. I thought it was very balanced between getting the exposition we still needed that we didn't quite get from every other Marvel movie up until now, and then just pure action superhero combat scenes, all of which were really great. The scene in Wakanda was absolutely amazing, even though it's just like a lot of CGI and a lot of actors attacking like, I don't know, like tennis balls on sticks. Like, it still looks great, and it's not too overwhelming. And what I really liked about it was they seemed to ground it in Thanos' character and I talked about this in our Infinity War episode, like, by making him more of a main character than anybody else, and making him more of a protagonist than anyone else. And it's weird how well that worked, and I really liked that decision that they made. And we also talked about this in that episode. I loved that you could kind of feel every scene with a different superhero felt like a scene right out of their own movie. Everything from like the dialogue down to the color scheme. It was just a very thoughtful movie. It was well thought out. It was a great execution, and I was really impressed with it.
I'd agree. It's a good film.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're able to talk about it. I'm glad you liked it so much.
Yeah, I also am very glad about that. I didn't want to be disappointed after watching Marvel movies for like 10 years. That would have sucked.
That's fair. If you're ready,
Yeah.
moving on to number 4.
Go ahead.
Number 4 for me is Incredibles 2.
Really?
Yeah, really liked it. So, the Parr family returns right back from where they left off in the first film, about to fight the villain, the Underminer, which I hear is storied in its video game, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I guess it's not canon anymore, because we get it in the second movie. The battle doesn't go so well with collateral damage and superheroing still being illegal. So in order to fix the laws, a PR man tries to use Helen, Elastigirl, to clean up their image, while Mr. Incredible stays at home with the kids. You saw this. You saw this with me.
Yeah.
I will say, can Brad Bird even miss?
No.
Well, yeah, because Tomorrowland. But besides that, like, he hits all of them fantastic.
Yeah.
Audience had to wait 14 years for a sequel.
You're goddamn right, I did.
Right? For one of the best Pixar movies.
Yeah.
Which, I'll say, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I think it delivered. The depth given to all the characters makes this really feel like a loving return kind of thing, when it could just feel like a shameless cash grab.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
Like, it's been a long time, we better get our money from the people who grew up a little bit.
Yeah, kind of like how Monsters University felt.
Exactly
Yeah.
how Monsters University felt. But this one, it still has heart, and it builds on the other as opposed to just kind of dwelling in the glory of the first movie. Mm-hmm. And bonus points, I don't know if this counts, but the short film they had at the beginning, Bow.
Oh my god.
Fantastic.
Heart
Almost,
melting.
yeah, almost made me
Yeah.
cry. Wonderful.
It was a really good companion short, I think. Because I always try to pay attention to the shorts they put in front of their features and kind of look at the thematic similarities. And I really thought they had something there. Because both the short and the feature are kind of tackling the struggles of parenting, the issues that kind of come up when you and your child or children have kind of differing values. And I really liked that we got a chance to see that across like two different cultures. Like, what is it, like 1960s, 70s America?
Basically.
In The Incredibles, and then a more modern take on what seems to be a Korean American family, which I thought was really great. Not to jump on your moment here, but I also had Incredibles 2 in my number 4 slot.
That's number 4?
Yeah.
That's bananas.
And I agree with a lot of what you said. I thought it was, again, a really thoughtful film. I thought all the characters were very true to form. Like, no one grew too much from the first movie, because they start like right after the first movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And yet it's 14 years later with new technology and a new kind of like society that this movie is being released to. So I was really, really impressed that all of the characters seemed to mesh really well with who they were in the first film. I loved Mrs. Incredible's plotline. I absolutely loved that they kind of just switched the roles from the first movie. And we got to see Helen on her own a little bit more, and we got to get a better idea of how she operated without Bob there and without her kids there. I thought that was really great, and I thought that was like a really important thing to show, because like we've discussed this, and you've discussed this with other people in past episodes. Like, female superheroes are a little more few and far between than male superheroes. And what's great is even when they don't get their own film, sometimes you have this rare experience where they get to operate on equal ground. And they don't just feel like a side character, they feel very important. And she felt extremely important throughout the whole story. But yeah, it was great. I really liked how the kids had their own impact on the storyline, which they also did in the first film. They don't get shunted to the side either just because they're the kids. Violet's storyline is very like low stakes when it comes to Tony, but it gets to be like drawn in and have actual plot significance, and it's not like belittled at all. Like, her very kind of emotional arc that she has gets to be its own important arc, which I also think is really important when dealing with any kind of character.
I'd agree.
Yeah, there's not
Yeah,
much more
exactly.
we can say now. But yeah, really great film.
So moving on to number 3 for me is A Quiet Place.
Ooh.
Yeah, right? A family's adjusting to life, living in an apocalypse caused by indestructible monsters that hunt by sound. I think that's a pretty decent synopsis there.
Yeah.
The fact that this movie is not number 1 on my list really just shows how great of a year this is. Because, like, this movie's so great.
Oh, yeah.
We did a whole episode on it even,
We
just
did.
because of how good it was.
Oh, yeah.
I'm slightly biased, since the movie's written by 2 guys who, 1, went to the same film school I did, 2, they grew up in the same state, and 3, are kind of like associates of some of my filmmaking friends. But I feel, like, I guess I don't know, but I feel that even if that wasn't the case, I'd love this film just as much.
I mean, the rest of the world loved this movie.
That's true. It
So-
made so much money.
Yeah. It
Like,
either
good for them.
doubled or tripled their budget.
So good.
It at least doubled it.
I will say, this movie, like, it left me curled up into a ball at the edge of my seat. Like, That's how suspenseful this movie was.
Oh yeah, it didn't skimp on that. Like, it's a very heartwarming film, but at the same time, it's a very terrifying, nerve-wracking film.
Right? I will say that I'm looking forward to those screenwriters, Scott Beck and Brian Woods. They recently got on to do an adaptation of a Stephen King story.
Yeah.
The Boogeyman.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
That
and
should be
looking
really
forward to John Krasinski, the star and director, mostly known as Jim from The Office.
Mostly known. Tall, handsome American actor, John Krasinski.
As it says on his IMDb. I'm looking forward to him to direct more, because
Yeah.
he did a damn good job.
He really did, yeah. I haven't really seen anything else he's directed.
There's not a lot.
There's not a lot, no. He did 3 episodes of The Office, but I'm not gonna pour over
True.
The Office to find the
He
3
did like
episodes
2 other
directed.
films. One
Yeah.
pretty low budget, and then
Yeah.
one that most people call his debut, even though he had done one kind of
Which
pretty
one is
low
that?
budget one before.
Is that the...
The Hollers
The
is the one
Hollers.
that a lot of people call
Okay.
it. And then there's one that I've been trying to get a hold of to watch, Brief Interviews with Hideous Men.
Yeah. So he's done a bit. I mean, more than I've done. But
That's fair. More features than I've directed.
yeah. My number 3 spot, Deadpool 2.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Deadpool
Yeah.
2's pretty good.
I really, really felt Deadpool, the first one. On a level I don't really connect with most movies on. Especially like superhero movies, funny, quirky action movies. I usually those don't resonate with me as much as like horror movies or something that's a little bit more dramatic. But Deadpool was kind of just the superhero movie I was waiting for. And Deadpool 2 was just more of that. It didn't feel like just like a cheap cash grab. It just felt like an extension of the first film. And just kind of felt like we got to continue watching Wade go through his life and deal with being an impenetrable force and, you know, the consequences of that. And it was a very deep film. It had a lot of depth. It very easily could have just been a lot of like smack around, punch down, blood everywhere. But it had a lot of great depth with him and I forget his girlfriend's name. I don't know if they get married actually.
They
But,
might. I'm not sure.
I don't quite remember.
I don't either.
But I really like the depth that we get and the fact that he has such a loving relationship with her. And the fact that we get so much insight into his emotional turmoil throughout the entirety of this ridiculous, like, goofball action comedy. And I really like the decision to give Teenage Warhead... Was that... I don't even know what her...
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. I love the decision to give her a girlfriend. I thought that was just like a very small detail that very easily didn't have to be there. But it was just a nice moment of representation. And it gets a little more complicated with deconstruction, but I thought that was nice. Because again, there's a lot of superhero movies on this list. But again, with like superhero movies, that's just not something you get to see a lot. You don't get to see superheroes having like relationships at all. And this movie is very packed with commentary on how superheroes have relationships. And while we get to see a pretty tragic example with Wade and his wife or girlfriend, Vanessa, we get to see a happier, a bit more innocent example with Negasonic Teenage Warhead and her girlfriend, who I'll say I've only met once, so I also don't remember her name. But I thought it was great. They did a great job giving me a funny, lighthearted, perverse action movie, but still, you know, providing something that provides commentary on mental illness, tragedy, trauma, all of that good stuff. And being a little bit more, like, upfront and real about superheroes. Like, whereas you have something like Infinity War, where it's like, you don't get that depth because the stakes are so much higher. And I know I'm talking on this one a lot, but I was looking into the director of this one, and I just wanted to know what else he'd done. And I found out he also directed Atomic Blonde, probably still my favorite film, which I thought was great. I think David Leitch is great with action as a genre.
He is a former stuntman.
Yes,
Stunt
I also
coordinator.
saw that. Yeah, he has over 50 credits for stunts on
Worked
IMDb.
on John Wick, what's
Yes.
considered one of the best action movies around right now.
I might be mistaken,
contemporarily.
but I think he directed it.
They give him a lot of co-director credit on that, just because of how.
How in depth his coordinating is.
Yeah,
Interesting. Well, there were a couple where he was uncredited as a director, but
that
then
might be
John
for
Wick.
that same reason.
John Wick, he has like a directing credit in the end credits, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was really cool that he also did Atomic Blonde, a very tonally different story. But there's still that attention to depth of character and kind of showing the reality of these superhuman characters, whether they're spies or whether they're superheroes, and like showing that it's hard and showing that it's difficult, and there's loss and there's trauma and there's tragedy, but being able to provide a very entertaining film along with all that.
Yeah, I will say after watching the first film so many times, the jokes were starting to be stale. The first
Of Deadpool?
Deadpool.
Yeah.
So I needed Deadpool 2 to come out when it did.
Yeah, it gave us some like fresher
Fresh-
material.
Yeah, and I will say the variety of humor I think is a little wider in
Yes,
Deadpool 2 as
definitely.
well. So moving on.
So what do you have for number 2?
For number 2, I have Hereditary.
Ooh.
Family is mourning the death of their matriarch, the grandma, when strange and disturbing events start to occur. What a great movie. Mm-hmm. This is a movie that just I adored, but there's few people that I've recommended it to. Like, it's hard to genuinely recommend this movie because it's so bizarre.
It's such a traumatic film, also.
That as well. It's traumatic, which I think oddly helps with the horror.
Yes.
And it's just weird. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
But if you can get past how weird it is, and if you can like dry your tears during some of the spots, I think you're in for a treat.
Yes, definitely.
Like A Quiet Place, I spent a lot of the time during this movie curled in a ball on the edge of my seat.
Perhaps more time.
Perhaps more time. And I came home, turned the lights on, went to bed after. Director Ari Aster, he's got another movie coming out.
Yeah.
It's called Midsummer. Not a bunch of stuff is out about it yet, but I'm already pretty excited. It seems like it's going to be a little bit in the same vein, kind of horror, a little bit of cult kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, pagan cult is kind of the vibe.
Yeah, which, that's an interesting subgenre he's living in.
Yes.
I also should say, I left this fact out, that A24 put out this movie, and they're just doing great.
Yeah.
Like this past couple of years, they've been the best studio putting stuff out, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
This is wild. But I also had Hereditary on my number 2 spot.
It's number 2. I'm surprised it's not your
number
number
2.
1 because you really liked this movie.
I absolutely loved it for all of the reasons you said. But it's not rewatchable for me.
Is that what's keeping it from your number 1?
Yes, yeah. Because if something's going to be my favorite movie, it's going to be a movie I can turn on and go back to and watch over and over and over again and dissect and, like, just connect with over and over again. And I can't do that with Hereditary because it's so traumatic. As the characters go through all of these experiences, we go with them. Like, we don't know anything that they don't know. And weirdly, they often don't know anything that we know. So we're basically walking alongside them this whole film, and to the point that when they're horrified, we're equally horrified, as if it's our lives that are being destroyed as well as theirs. Like, I watch a lot of scary movies, and I tend to get a little freaked out afterwards, and I usually need to put something nice on, like Bob's Burgers or some kind of just light, fun, mindless animation. But this film really, really messed me up. Like, I've never cried out of fear before, and by the end of this film, I was on the brink of tears, because I just wanted it to be over. I was so uncomfortable, and nervous, and anxious, and panicky, and the film just would not stop. But it was beautiful. The plot was constructed so well. The amount of information we received throughout the film is perfectly spaced, perfectly portioned. It's really great to go back and look at plot points of the film and realize how much foreshadowing you get. That you are in no way privy to until like the last 10-15 minutes of the film. It's beautifully crafted. It's so traumatic. It made me want to, like, I don't know. It made me want to just curl up in a ball and just sit in a pile of my tears for like 3 hours. It was intense, but it was like it was like my film. It had a lot of the aesthetics that I enjoy that I don't get to see a lot. And it dealt with a lot of subject matter that I really like dealing with. But it was so hard to watch.
You touched on aesthetics, and as a big fan of, like, cinematography that I am, I feel I should point out something that this movie does really well, and that is, it works with tilt-shift photography.
Yes.
Which is a style of shooting that allows a lot of, like, live-action kind of, like, just regular shooting. It makes it look like it's in miniature. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure, like, optically exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
If I read up on it, I probably could. But basically, there's, like, a weird lens that you can put on a camera that, like, tilts it. And it adds this weird fake quality.
The way it bends the light for the lens makes it so that the product looks like a set of miniatures and less like you're just looking down on like a football field or a parking lot.
Exactly. And that combined with the fact that probably for the whole first act, the camera is almost never steady. It's always moving.
Yeah.
And it's in glorious, just kind of sweeping shots, or it's pushing in through a crowd. The cinematography of this movie's great. The story's great. Love this movie.
Amazing. Yeah.
I might end up rewatching it more than you, just because I want to show it to people.
Yeah.
And
well,
really...
I mean, we're definitely gonna have a Hereditary watch night with James of the video game episode fame.
That's true. Friend of the show, James.
Friend of the show. Real, actual friend of the show, James.
Right.
How nice. But yeah, that was me on Hereditary. I love it, but it'll destroy me every time I watch it. It'll take part of my soul.
I'm hoping that when they put out a release, there's a commentary track.
Yeah.
Because that might make me watch it by myself again, just to hear that.
I think I'd be at least comforted by the illusion that there's another person in the room with me.
That's fair.
So what was your number one, man?
My number one, my favorite movie of the year so far. I want to put in like a drum roll, but that's hokey, so I won't. You did it anyway. Alright, my favorite, Game Night.
Of course.
A group of friends' game night goes awry when one of the host's brother turns it into a murder mystery party. I think that's a fair...
Yeah.
It's hard. It was hard with Hereditary to give a synopsis that didn't spoil things.
Yeah.
And it's hard with Game Night as well to give a synopsis that doesn't, like, show how crazy things get in this movie.
Because so much of it is just going along with the characters and learning things as they learn it. So you don't want to give too much away.
That's true. I saw this movie twice in theaters, and I've seen it once more since it's been released, so this is definitely the one I've seen most out of these. I saw it for the first time just because I had a night free, and it happened to be playing, at the time I got off work. So I went to see it, blown away. Didn't have any expectations, blew me away. Right out of the water. Then I saw it a second time with my family when I was going to visit them. I saw it with my parents and my sister. My parents, they're middle-aged.
Yeah.
My sister's 16.
Yeah.
They laughed. She laughed. I laughed. Still, having seen all the jokes already.
Yeah.
I watched it with you later once
Yes,
it came out on video. We rented
Finally.
it. Right. And I laughed like I was seeing it for the first time.
You did. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, it just keeps me laughing no matter how many times I've seen it now.
Yeah, the
3
jokes
times.
the jokes aren't like, you're not laughing out of surprise, you're just laughing because they're well constructed jokes.
Yeah, and the fact that like my middle-aged parents and my 16-year-old sister were laughing at the same movie, not always at the same times,
Right, but
often at the same times.
could enjoy the same film.
Yeah, it's crazy, and that's why this has got to be favorite movie of the year so far.
So far.
So far, the year's not over yet.
Mm-hmm. Before I announce my number one, which I'm sure you've guessed at this point, because it hasn't been anywhere on the list yet, I would like to say I've appreciated you going first and giving your list options, or your list, I don't know, choices first, because it saves me from having to describe a lot of the movies on my list. That being said, that's very true of A Quiet Place. My number one favorite goddamn film of the year.
That's fair. You know, good movies are good movies. It's sometimes it's hard.
Yeah.
Especially when we're just halfway through a year.
And here's the thing. I definitely understand why Game Night is your favorite of the year. Because it kind of fits into at least one of your favorite subgenres of like comedic horror and like comedic action horror, suspense. It has all those like great things you love. Me, I don't quite need as many cross sections. I enjoy how horror has so many options for cross sections, but God, like A Quiet Place was just so pure. Like it was a simple family out trying to survive in post-apocalyptic America. Technically shot in New York, but in spirit, Iowa.
With the writers being from Iowa.
Yeah, and again, I covered this in a previous episode, but like I saw it in the best way possible. I saw it at our local like independent movie theater for free, with the writers, Scott Beck and Brian Woods. And then they gave a Q&A afterwards.
I was very jealous.
And I got to ask them a question, and it was so fucking cool. Like it was the best way to see it. It was amazing. I got to have all the context I would ever need for the film after seeing it. I don't know. It's just, and there's so much of it that is reminiscent of classic horror films that I also love. There's so many influences that you can pick up on, and it's just the kind of film I would like to make, similarly to Hereditary, except that I can watch it again and again.
We have both seen it a couple times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I went to go see it with Malcolm, my friend Malcolm. And it was still enjoyable that time around. And it's really fun to watch people watch this film. I don't know if that's something you've encountered with showing me films that you love, but it's really fun to show people films, and it's really fun specifically to watch people watch A Quiet Place. Because the film manipulates you so much and so well, it's weird to like be able to step back from that and watch somebody else experience the film and get caught in those long silences and watch them kind of, their faces kind of twist in horror as these characters are like unexpectedly thrown into this new danger. And one thing I really loved, which didn't necessarily make this my favorite film, but I really loved that they had a deaf actress in the film. And the reason that this family has gotten to survive so well is because they have a deaf daughter, and they had to learn how to communicate without making any noises. because that's kind of how the monsters that we encounter in this film hunt. And again on representation, like that's just really great. You don't see disabled characters in films a lot, especially not in horror films. It was really great to see a deaf character who wasn't like the damsel in distress, but instead like the key to everybody surviving, like the strong point of this family. So just overall, great film. Extremely watchable. Really amazingly put together. And yeah, I was nothing but impressed by it.
Definitely one of the best films of the year. It's on 2 lists.
2 lists.
So now that we've been through our lists, we'll give a little rundown on our honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do mine here.
Cool.
Avengers Infinity War made your cut.
There we go.
Almost was number 5. I was struggling between it and Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of being only the first half of a story made it feel hard to rank without the second half.
Okay.
And that's probably unfair to this movie because it does have arcs in it, and it is its own thing.
Yeah.
But it is harder to rank without seeing where it all ends up for me.
Of course.
Deadpool 2 made it on your list. Didn't quite make it on mine. And the other one is Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad.
This nice little indie movie. Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair get brainwashed along with all the other parents in America into trying to murder their children. Weird. Definitely more fun than a lot of the movies on my list, but it's just not quite as good as those movies.
Yeah.
It's still great.
Yeah.
When you're narrowing down to 5, some stuff's not going to make the cut. Mom and Dad didn't quite do it. Mm-hmm. Still love it. Still great movie.
Still really, really fun. Your honorable mentions are really funny to me. Because my first honorable mention is Black Panther.
Oh.
Which I fought with between number 5 and... I fought between that and Infinity War for number 5. Eventually giving it to Infinity War just because I was really impressed with how much was tackled in Infinity War. And I still got to see all of the stuff I loved from Black Panther in the film, along with all the other stuff I loved from the other movies. So it just seemed like it tackled more and did it successfully. But Black Panther was still an amazing film, amazing performances from everyone involved. Ryan Coogler, great director, able to kind of tackle more serious films like Fruitvale Station, but also like something fun and action and superhero-y, which is really great. And then I also had Mom and Dad as my honorable mention, because it wasn't quite good enough to really make...
I probably liked it more than you.
It's a little I don't know what the word is. It's a little gimmicky, a little more than I would have liked. Just some of the shot decisions and like audio decisions are a little too in your face for me. I do like the subtleties that Hereditary and A Quiet Place provide you with. But Mom and Dad was still great. It was a wild ride. Nicolas Cage is a great, disenchanted, abusive father. Really great. Really good movie. I'm sad it couldn't make my top anything.
That's fair.
But now we are on to things we missed.
Yeah, these are films that we didn't quite get to go to the theater to see.
Yeah.
Some of them are out on home video now, and we just haven't gotten to see them yet.
Mm-hmm.
Others aren't on video yet, and hopefully we'll get to see them soon in time. There's just a lot of movies that exist. A lot of times people will be like, how have you not seen this? Well, because I've seen 5 other movies.
Every other movie.
Yeah, they might not be as good, but I watched them instead.
We watched Mom and Dad instead of seeing that movie.
Exactly. Stuff like that.
Who's the real winner?
Ooh. Maybe that's not a question to ask.
But anyway, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Rampage.
Ooh.
An adaptation of the classic video game where giant monsters fight each other. The Rock stars as the handler of a gorilla who turns giant, along with several other animals, and they fight, I think,
Oh.
That's what the trailer implies. I haven't seen it.
Like Pokemon.
I
But with giant monsters.
I don't know if that's quite the case.
Okay.
I think, like...
I'm not gonna believe you, but
I think the gorilla's, like, the good guy.
Oh.
And then, like, the other ones are, like, bad giant animals, and the gorilla has to, like, help.
And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is just like, so there's a human, so we don't space out for the entire movie.
Yeah, the video game's weird because the monsters are people who transform into giant monsters.
Why the hell wasn't that in the movie?
I don't know. I've not seen it yet.
Maybe that was a surprise for when you saw the film.
Maybe. I was a fan of the video game growing up. The Godzilla sequels, they're still not coming yet.
Yeah.
They're coming soon.
You needed something to kind of
I was hoping...
wet your whistle.
Yeah, and, I just didn't quite get that. So I was hoping to see it. But the Avengers and Deadpool and Solo just took up all the theater screens. And Rampage was there for like a few days and was gone before I got to see it. It's probably not going to be a great movie when I see it, but
not at all.
But I'm thinking it's going to be a good time.
It'll be
That's
fun
what I'm
at
hoping
least.
for.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I was really sad that I didn't get to see Hotel Artemis.
Ooh.
Because Hotel Artemis looked badass.
I will say, I don't know the plot of this movie.
So
I know the
well,
cast.
let me tell you.
And the cast made me really want to see it.
Oh my god, yeah. I was so sad that I missed it just for the cast. It's got Jodie Foster playing the nurse who runs Hotel Artemis, a members-only hospital for criminals. And it's set in the middle of, like, riots in LA in 2028. So it's like, it's a dystopian future film focusing on injured criminals. And for some reason she ends up having to, like, bend the rules of what she accepts within her hospital. And on the cast, great cast. Jodie Foster, Sophie Boutella, also in Atomic Blonde, Charlie Day, Jeff Goldblum, Sterling K. Brown, who was in Black Panther, I believe as T'Challa's father in the flashback.
Oh.
Or no. I think it was his uncle in the flashback.
Oh.
Yes. Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you'll know this one, but Father John Misty.
Oh,
who is
the
an
singer man.
Indie folk rock artist.
Yeah.
Who, interestingly enough, director and writer of the film, Drew Pearce, right before this film came out, his last directing credit was a music video for Father John Misty.
You did miss one person in the cast that also made me want to see it. Jenny Slate.
Jenny Slate!
Always a fan of Jenny Slate.
She's in another movie on my list, I think.
Well,
or she's
fun.
in one coming up. We'll find out as we go on.
That's true.
But it looked like a really great film. It looked like it had a weird, twisted, dark aesthetic. It looked like it had a lot of weird stuff going on. Jodie Foster continues to be amazing and great. So I hope I get the chance to see it.
There was a stretch where I didn't want to know the plot because I already wanted to see it. And I was like, maybe I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
But, you telling me did make me want to see it more. So
I don't think it's
okay.
one of those movies. I think if you did that, you'd go in very, very confused. You get taken off guard by too much, like, this happens in the future? What?
That might be true.
LA is still in a state of riot constantly? Do they have water now?
All these
Who
questions
knows?
and more might be answered if we got to see Hotel Artemis.
Right. But what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Tag.
Ooh.
A group of friends have been playing rounds of tag since they were children, and this is the story of one of their rounds. So I try to see original comedies when they come out. That's pretty much all I knew about game night when I went to see it. Mm-hmm. And you don't get them that often.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like genre blending all the time, which is great. I love a good action comedy. That's what game night ended up being essentially.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more of a comedy. And there's also just a lot of remakes, so not a lot of original comedies either. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when they happen, these original comedies, they're not good.
No, yeah.
This happens a lot. It's one of those genres where you get the most amount of stinkers, I think.
Yeah.
And that's
'cause
disappointing.
It's so subjective.
That's true.
It's hard
That's
to make
true.
something that is funny for an entire group of people. Far harder than it is to make something that's terrifying for a whole group
I'll
of
agree
people.
with you. But I heard some good things about this movie, and the cast is really good. You've got Jake Johnson, Jeremy Renner,
Ooh.
Isley Fisher, John Hamm, Rashida Jones,
Ooh.
Hannibal Buress,
Ooh.
and Ed Helms.
Oh my god.
Yeah, right? These are all crazy funny people. The director from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. That's just about a half an hour from where we're recording this right now.
It's crazy.
And you know, I always try to support fellow Iowans.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, other films like Hereditary, Jurassic World 2, and Ant-Man 2, all things I saw instead.
Yeah.
Which, you know, maybe this would have been better than seeing Ant-Man 2 or Jurassic World 2. But, you know, when this comes out on home release, I'll try to catch it.
Yeah. There you go. My number 4. Ocean's 8.
Ocean's 8 did look like it could be good.
It did. It really did. The only thing that kept me from seeing it was the fact that I have never participated in the franchise.
They're really good.
I hear they're great.
They're super fun movies. You're not going to be, like, blown away.
Right.
Maybe by the first one.
Right.
But the other ones, they're just fun. The cast likes each other.
Yeah.
They like making movies together.
Yeah.
So you feel it when you watch it.
Well, it wasn't a franchise I'd ever, like, gotten into. I knew I didn't really need to for this one. But
true.
I also really didn't want to hate it. I was really scared I was going to hate it.
It did have such a great cast.
It had, oh my god, let me oh my god, it had Sandra Bullock, it had Rihanna, it had so many people.
Mindy Kaling, Anne Hathaway, Kate Blanchett.
Yes, that was the one I was trying to think of, was Kate Blanchett. So good, so strong, and I was going to be so disappointed if this incredible female-led film disappointed me. It just, like, scared me away from seeing it, which was definitely not the thing to do. But it seemed great. It seemed really fun. I love when Sandra Bullock is in roles that are anything but The Blind Side, and this seemed like that kind of role.
That's fair. It's always hard with spin-offs, too. They're very hit or miss. You get, like, a weird success, but then for every weird success, there's, like, 15 garbage movies.
Right. What was weird, looking up the director for this, was Gary Ross. He's done some weird things in the past that wouldn't make you think he'd direct Ocean's 8. None of the previous Ocean's movies.
That was all Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah. However, he did write and direct The Hunger Games.
Huh.
He also wrote for Big,
The movie?
classic Thomas Hanks film. Big, yeah. The Tale of Despero and Lassie.
This guy's all over the place.
I don't know how he got involved in this.
You know, I think his experience on Lassie really would benefit him here.
I mean, if you can figure out how to convey suspense and action movie thrill through a dog that has to go save Timmy, who fell down the well, I think maybe you could handle it with, like, adult women, you know?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? But yeah, I hope I do get to see that.
So I'm gonna move on.
Please do. Please do.
To my number 3, Thoroughbreds.
Oh my god, I forgot about Thoroughbreds.
This movie, some places say it came out in 2017, but I think that's just like the few film festival things.
Circuit. Yeah.
So I'm gonna count it as a 2018 movie.
Okay.
Lots of things do. I'll be one of those things that counts it as a 2018 movie.
Yeah.
Basically, all I gathered from the trailer, is that 2 teen girls want to murder their stepdad.
Fair.
Yeah, this movie looks like a fun, dark comedy. It's very reminiscent, from what I can tell, of Heathers. And there's few movies that I love as much as Heathers. Heathers is just great.
I have Heathers on VHS just because. Just because I can. I love it so much.
Yeah, this movie, it got a limited release theatrically, and I just haven't gotten around to renting it yet.
Right.
It's been out for a good minute because it came out earlier in the year.
Early and in a very short period of time.
Yeah, I just heard about it pretty recently, but I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it looks great. My number 3, Annihilation, which got so much hype. Everyone I knew told me to see this movie. Every single person I knew saw this, except for me. And I didn't know what it was about, and I was wanting to kind of save the plot, like, for when I saw it. But I looked it up for this, for all of you, the fans. And I still think I'd be very, very fresh-faced going into the film, because all I really gathered was a biologist's husband disappears. So she goes on a very dangerous expedition to find out why he disappeared. And she teams up with a psychologist, a surveyor, and an anthropologist.
Yeah, I hear they kind of explore some weird anomaly that's
yeah, it's like an environmental...
like a bubble of colorful energy where weird stuff happens inside.
Yeah, it's like and it's very focused on, like, the environmental part of that anomaly. Like, it's part of our, like, our ecosystem that, like, should not exist. But yeah, the cast, I can't believe I didn't see this, because it's Natalie Portman, Gina Rodriguez, Oscar Isaac, and Tessa Thompson. Tessa Thompson, who I fucking love from Ragnarok, and I think it's Creed is the other thing I love her from. But yeah, what a great cast, what a great, like, prompt. Like, it got a lot of great hype. And it was, like, being talked about, like, the breaking point for indie films entering, like, mainstream and, like, having, like, wider releases. Like, if Annihilation didn't do well, indie films weren't gonna have a chance after that. It was really weird.
Here's the odd thing. It didn't do very well.
No, it didn't. It sounds like it's a great film. It's not that it's not a great film from what I've heard. It just didn't do well.
Well, I'm going to stop you here for a second.
Yeah.
We'll keep talking about Annihilation, because it's my number 2
hey!
on this list here. Because I super wanted to see it. Goodness. I heard it's very similar to the H.P. Lovecraft story, The Color Out of Space.
Ooh.
That alone was enough to get me to want to see it. Plus, it's like, there's not a lot of original, artfully made sci-fi movies that get a budget.
Yeah.
And this is Alex Garland, who had done Ex Machina before.
Yes.
Which I still haven't gotten to see. A lot of people yell at me about that, but I just bought it the other day. So I'm going to watch it soon.
Yeah. He, I don't know if this informs Annihilation at all, but he, like, has a writing credit for 28 Days Later, which I love.
I did not know that.
It was a pretty good movie.
Huh. Yeah, I think the thing of it is like, when it was done, when it was all made,
yeah,
the studio was kind of like, what is it? How do we put this out?
Yeah.
This is crazy. So they did not market it very well theatrically.
Yeah.
And everywhere except the United States, when it came out on Netflix when it came out in the theaters. So not a lot of people internationally went to see it because they could just watch it at home.
Yeah.
Which I hear you shouldn't do, because the surround sound is great and the picture's great. But I will have to be watching it at home on my TV.
On your shit TV.
Because it wasn't out that long here.
No,
I know you said everyone you knew got to see it.
I know a lot of hipsters.
That's fair. I was just getting in the hang of a new job when it came out.
Yeah.
It was only out for like a week. I didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
And I was real bummed about it, because I had been looking forward to it based on the trailers.
Hopefully we will get to see it.
Hopefully soon. It's out on video.
Yeah.
We can watch it.
You know.
I'm less excited because I'm watching it on my TV, not a giant screen.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
I'm sure it'll be a decent movie though.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah. My number 2 is gonna come, like, right out of nowhere, I'm sure. RBG.
Interesting. That's a documentary?
The documentary on Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I couldn't remember if it was a documentary or a biopic.
No, they, the directors / producers got, like, a weird amount of access to, like, information about her early cases, her early like legal battles for women's rights. They got a lot of access to that information. They got a lot of access to people who knew her, like more than they ever planned to. There's possibly like an interview with her. I don't know. I have no idea. But if you look it up, it's just like an unprecedented amount of access. I'm like, oh my god. But she's just a very relevant figure right now. She's a very relevant woman in America right now. And I felt that I should go see this movie. Because she's still doing stuff. She's still helping our country not fall into, like, the plot of The Handmaid's Tale. Which is important to me. As someone who's A, a woman, and B, read The Handmaid's Tale. But, like, I didn't get a chance to. It only came out at Film Scene.
The local art house theater.
Yes, our beautiful, beautiful independent theater. And I work a lot of nights. So it just didn't happen. It wasn't out for long. It wasn't usually playing at times that I could go see it. But I'm really excited to watch it. What's also really cool is it was the director Betsy West, one of the directors. It was her directing debut.
That's crazy.
I think that's really cool. The other woman has also directed things in the past, but it's more like I don't know. It's smaller things than a large scale documentary about one of the most powerful women in America right now.
It's fair. It's hard to talk too much. Don't wanna divide our audience here.
Right? Yeah.
Listening to movie podcasts.
Well,
but there might be a conservative in that liberal basket of apples.
I step outside of your comfort zone.
There you go.
But I'm excited to hear your number one.
My number one here is Isle of Dogs.
Me too.
You also?
Yeah. I figured I'd just skip all the mess and just be like, yep, same, let's talk about it.
Here's the thing, like, I'll give the synopsis first. Dogs have been quarantined on an island. A boy builds a rocket and tries to rescue his dog.
I think it's important to know that the island is called Trash Island. I think that's important.
I didn't know that.
It's called just Trash Island.
Well, that's sad.
Right?
Yeah, a young Japanese boy tries to rescue his dog. Other dogs help him.
Yeah.
We're not, as far as the trailer shows, we're not given subtitles to the Japanese. And we're being led this through dogs speaking English.
That's really great.
Yeah, right?
I really like when people don't subtitle foreign languages. I feel like it lets the language just be people talking and not, talking for us, an American English-speaking audience. I feel that's respectful. I really like that.
Yeah, I will say I feel the worst about not seeing this one.
Right.
Because I went through a stretch last year where I caught up and I watched all of the Wes Anderson films I hadn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
I rewatched all the ones I had seen. And, when this one came out, I just didn't get to see it.
No.
It was on limited release. It was at the Art House Theater.
But
I didn't get the chance to see it there.
Screenings where people just brought their dogs.
That did sound adorable.
And there was, like, a red carpet for dogs.
That's so cute.
I saw pictures. It was adorable.
Yeah. But now, it just recently came out on home video.
Yeah.
We have to say home video again because, like, it's Blu-ray and DVD now.
Yeah.
I like it because it's like we're going back when DVDs just came out. Yeah. And we're like on video and DVD, home video.
Home video.
It's home video again.
What a weird thing to be delighted about.
It's nice. But yeah, I can't really add a lot. I don't know a lot about Isle of Dogs because I just wanted to see it.
Was wild.
Yeah, there's like Edward Norton, Alec Baldwin, some like
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff
again.
Goldblum. A lot of people.
Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Greta Gerwig, just coming off of her Lady Bird career.
Yes.
Although she probably did all her vocals some time ago for Isle of Dogs.
I would imagine.
Claymation. Not stop motion.
Stop motion, yeah.
Yeah, not claymation. My apologies. But it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
Looks great. A lot of people who regularly work with Wes Anderson and a lot of new other famous voices too.
Fresh, famous voices.
Fresh, famous voices. So we both agreed on Isle of Dogs.
Yeah.
And that was a top 5 list.
Yeah.
But here's some honorable mentions.
Oh, you did honorable mentions for this?
I sure did.
Oh, dang.
There's a couple things I didn't get to see, and I really wanted to. That was probably one of my biggest things to narrow down on, oddly.
Oh, mine were basically contained to these. I was like, I didn't get to see it. That's sad.
Well, here's my honorable mentions. One of mine is Hotel Artemis.
Yeah,
But we already talked about it.
All right.
So that works out. Another one is How to Talk to Girls at Parties.
I was wondering if that was going to make your list.
It made my honorable mentions. Almost made the list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a heck of a lot about it. I saw like a second of the teaser trailer before it like skipped on a YouTube video I was watching. But it's based on a Neil Gaiman story, and that's really enough to make me interested in watching it. Didn't get a wide release. I didn't hear of it coming here to town. I honestly didn't even know that it had come out yet until I was looking at movies for this episode, and I was really bummed I missed it.
Aww.
Yeah, and that's about it. So yeah, before we move on, we have one final list. Of things we're looking forward to in this second half of 2018.
Much more hopeful list.
Yeah.
Less sad than the last list.
That's true.
We might get to experience these in a theater.
Fingers crossed.
Oh my god.
But before we do that,
Oh.
We'll get a nice little word from our sponsors.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Alright, so there's our sponsors. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
Alright, so here, to start off our list, I'll say my number 5 is Black Klansman. It's the story of 2 cops infiltrating the KKK in the Colorado Springs area and bringing them down. It's from the producers of Get Out. It's directed by Spike Lee.
Written and directed
by Spike Lee.
Spike Lee joint.
That's right, a Spike Lee joint, as he likes to say. And the trailer promises a fun buddy cop 70s period piece. That makes me very excited.
Yeah. It sounds like a buddy cop movie that will do the genre justice.
That's right. It's got a little bit of weight because, you know, it's still the Klan that they're bringing down.
Yeah, but it's like the best buddy cop movie in like the best form it could be.
That's true. I'll agree with that.
My number 5, again, I think is really out of nowhere, but comes out of a very personal love that I have of Spider-Man 3, Venom.
Interesting.
Set to come out in October.
I haven't seen this newest trailer, but the first trailer did not look great. Teaser trailer.
I can't even say that I saw the teaser. I just know it's coming out. And I'm excited. It's Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy was Venom. A great choice.
It's so excited.
It's weird that a different studio is making another Spider-Man type movie.
Yeah. But yeah, Tom Hardy. Woody Harrelson is going to be somewhere in it. Jenny Slate is in it.
Jenny Slate.
I know very little about it. I know there's still debate about whether or not Venom gets to have the white spider on his costume.
Interesting.
But I love Tom Hardy in a lot of stuff. I've finally jumped on the I love Tom Hardy train.
It's a good train to be on.
I mean, to be fair, the reason I was off of it was so long was because I was surrounded by like 18-year-old men who were fawning over Tom Hardy.
It's hard not
to. It puts you off a bit, and then years later you're like, oh wait, he's very good and very hot. I was in the wrong. But yeah, Venom will come out. And it'll be a movie.
That's true.
I'll at least have some closure on a very cool sounding villain that I didn't get to learn enough about in Spider-Man 3.
That's fair. What's weird moving on to my number 4. It's not Venom,
Ooh.
but it is a spider film. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I was hoping that was on your list. It didn't quite make it onto mine.
I'm not sure much about this movie. I saw the teaser. I walked in at the tail end of the longer trailer playing during one movie, so I don't know a lot. All I know, a lot of Spider-Man.
A lot of Spider-Man.
Lot of Spider-Man.
All the Spider-Man.
Phil Lord of making the Lego Movie fame has a writing credit on this.
Ooh.
The film stars Jake Johnson, Nicolas Cage, John Mulaney, and Haley Steinfeld, all as Spider people.
Interesting.
I think she's Spider-Gwen, and the rest are like different versions of Spider-Man.
Right.
John Mulaney, Spider-Ham.
I love that so much.
Nicolas Cage is called something like Spider-Man Noir. He's
that
like
makes
an intense
so much
Spider-Man.
sense. I love it.
Right? Mahershala Ali is in there somewhere. I didn't see as whom. And Lily Tomlin is Aunt May.
Interesting.
She's delightful.
She's
Lily
great.
Tomlin.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll do a great job. And you know what? Just that cast and the animation style in the trailer looks fun. You don't see it a lot. A buddy of mine pointed out that it's very similar to the Telltale games that are coming out. It looks a lot like their style. But either way, it looks fun, looks great, reminds me of a comic book in style.
Oh, nice.
And I'm excited to see it.
It'll at least be better than Venom, I'm sure. It
Probably.
has to be.
Let's not bash Venom before it's even out, but probably.
Alright. To completely switch up the gears here, I am incredibly excited. So much so that it's number 4 on my list of things I'm excited to see. I'm incredibly excited to see Halloween, also coming out in October.
Interesting.
Halloween was, I think, the first horror movie that I, sat down and watched. And it was when you could still find full movies in great quality on YouTube for free. So I just stayed up at, midnight one night and watched Halloween on my cell phone.
Just taking money right out of John Carpenter's pocket.
I don't feel that bad. He's John Carpenter. He's done a lot. He's very successful. I'm sure he could take that one hit. But it was so good. And, since then, my love of horror has only, been heightened. But it was just the first horror movie I ever really watched. Because my mom really wasn't into horrors, and my dad wasn't really into movies in general. So I didn't really have much of an introduction until that. And I'm so excited that there's an actual sequel with Jamie Lee Curtis all grown up, ready to kick Michael Myers' ass. With, weirdly enough, Judy Greer playing her daughter? She's so funny and weird, and I don't know how she's gonna be in this movie. Yeah, and weird, super very weird thing. Danny McBride has a writing credit on this film. I don't know what that means for Halloween, the horror film that Danny McBride is writing for it. But it should be something. I'm excited that
That's true.
that Jamie Lee Curtis gets to kick Michael Myers' ass again.
That's a good point.
But tell me what's your number 3, man? What
My
do you
number
got?
3?
Yeah.
It's actually out in theaters currently. I'm hoping to catch it before it comes out. Before it's out of theaters, I mean. It's Sorry to Bother You. Surreal story of a black man using a white voice to advance in the telemarketing field. That's what I've got from the trailer.
Right.
I'm not reading up much more on it because I really want to see it, and when I
Right.
really want to see it, I don't generally read up too much on it, so I can be surprised some. But the trailer looked hilarious. It looked surreal, and both of those things I love, and together I think I'll love it even more.
Yeah, it looked good. I realized there were so many films I was wanting to see. This one, if we had a number 6, it would have been my number 6.
Yeah.
But I do hope we can get a chance to see it before it leaves the theaters. My number 3, I think I just have a lot of weird fucking movies on my list. Because my number 3 is Mary, Queen of Scots.
I don't know this film.
Oh, well, it's coming out in December. Directed by Josie Rourke, who has only really directed, theater up until now. The most notable of which was Much Ado About Nothing with David Tennant and Catherine Tate.
Interesting.
One of the ones that was like, I can't say videotaped, but like filmed, and you can like watch it on a DVD, but it is very much like a stage performance. Very weird, very fun. Especially since I believe David Tennant is actually in Mary Queen of Scots.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, he is. I love that Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird is gonna be Mary.
Ooh.
It's a great choice.
Love Saoirse Ronan.
Whereas playing Queen Elizabeth, the sister of the aforementioned Mary, is Margot Robbie.
Weird.
Very weird, but I'm really looking forward to it.
I think she'll do a good job after seeing I, Tonya recently.
Yeah.
Especially.
I think they'll have a really good like dynamic on screen. But yeah, great story. I mean, it's, Mary tries to dethrone her sister, instead gets thrown in jail and faces execution.
Classic.
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone knows the story. I know the story. I know what happens. But, like, I'm interested to see that be put on screen. And I'm interested to see it be engaging to watch. And I was also noticing, just going through all these movies, like, there's not a lot of women directing the movies I'm looking forward to see or wish I'd seen. And this is, like, a female-led film directed by a woman. And I really hope it does well. And I really hope it's good, because it sounds like it'll be really great.
Well, my second movie...
Your second movie.
My second to most anticipated is 8th Grade.
Yep.
This movie is also out right now, so it's going to be a struggle for me as to if to go see this or to go see Sorry to Bother You.
Double feature.
There you go. Ooh, what a day. So this film's about a 12-year-old girl going through 8th grade. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty simple story. Mm-hmm. I hear, but pretty good. Mm-hmm. After I saw the trailer for the movie, I was pretty excited. The director... comedian Bo Burnham.
Yeah.
This is his first time directing, and I felt as his specials went on, he only got funnier and he only got more sincere, and his staging got grander, and I think it was time for him to move on to something else.
Yeah.
And I'm glad this is what it was. I'm a big fan, as I've mentioned, of his stuff.
Yeah.
And I heard him interviewed about this movie, and he talked a lot about how he wrote it in response to a lot of anxiety he'd been feeling, mostly about his career, but also just about performing in general.
Yeah.
And, he found a lot of tips online on dealing with anxiety from, young teenage girls who deal with anxiety all the time just by existing.
Yeah.
So he kind of just wrote this movie.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it sounds very personal to him, and it's being released by A24. A24. So I'm sure it's great, and I'm super hyped to see it.
That does sound really fun. My number 2, the aforementioned Black Klansman.
Oh.
Which
you're even more excited to see it.
I am so excited to see it, because I think part of it is a personal thing where I really want to see something by Spike Lee that I can purely enjoy. Because I was introduced to his earlier stuff, specifically She's Gotta Have It, which is a very problematic film. And Spike Lee has grown as a filmmaker since that, and more as a storyteller than anything. And this movie just seems fun. I love Adam Driver a lot. I'm excited to see him in another role, especially as Flip Zimmerman, fellow detective of our main character, Ron Stallworth. Also, Topher Grace is somewhere in the film as a character named David Duke, who's maybe a white supremacist? Your face makes me believe
David Duke is the white supremacist.
The white supremacist.
He's he was the head of the Klan.
Context for anything. That's amazing. That makes me so much more excited to see it.
Yeah, he was the head of the KKK at its height.
Amazing.
I guess not at its height. That was the 20s, but at its contemporary height, David Duke.
Amazing. I was hoping you'd be like, no, Alix, you dummy. It's this very important thing. And I'd be like, cool, great. That's great. If nothing else, at least I'll get to see Topher Grace leading the KKK.
Yeah, that's gonna be weird.
Eric from that 70s show, Venom from Spider-Man 3, leading the KKK. Thwarted by Kylo Ren and an extra from Malcolm X, which is what one of John David Washington's former roles, which is really funny. Because Spike Lee also directed that film.
Yeah, if you want to look at other Spike Lee films, because it sounds like you haven't gotten to
I hear Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X are
Do
really
the Right
great.
Thing's wonderful. It's incredible. And Inside Man is kind of like an underappreciated Spike Lee movie.
Interesting.
I enjoy it a lot.
Interesting.
It doesn't have a lot to say on like race or like politics or anything. It's just like, here's a pretty fun bank heist thriller.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, cool. It's a movie.
Great.
I like a movie.
Yeah. I mean, I like topical films about sociopolitics and race, but like, damn, do I like just enjoyable movies as well.
That's true.
But I'm really, really looking forward to this because I really, really like seeing things that tackle very topical, dense issues with humor. And I can't wait to laugh at the Klan. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
The only other opportunity we really get is a small scene in Django Unchained where they're trying to figure out their hoods.
Oh my god, that's such a great scene.
That's such a funny scene.
My wife made these. But yeah, Black Klansman's gonna be great. It's coming out August 10th. It's almost here.
Oh, that's so soon.
It's almost here.
Oh no, another movie to have to choose between though.
That's true.
That's crazy.
That's true. But tell me your number one. I'm excited.
The movie I'm most excited for is one that I'm more excited than you about, it seems, because it's Halloween.
Holy shit.
Right?
Holy shit.
That's why I didn't say much during Halloween.
I was wondering, I was like, am I saying dumb things right now? Is Evan judging me right now?
No. So this, like you said, it's a sequel. It's taking place right after the film Halloween. Well, like not right after.
Not right after, but like...
time has passed. But like none of the previous sequels are like canon in this.
Yeah.
Even Halloween 2, which still has Jamie Lee Curtis. Not canon in this. Crazy.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, right. But after seeing the trailer to this movie, oh my god.
It looks so good.
I got goosebumps. I couldn't help. I've been trying to have a cautious optimism about this movie, but the cautious part's really hard to maintain when it looks so good. The film's got John Carpenter coming back, doing the music, his blessings on the movie.
Ugh.
Jamie Lee Curtis actually seems excited about this movie coming out, which like a lot of times when you have somebody going back to the beginning of their career with stuff, it doesn't feel like they're excited about it. But this, she genuinely feels excited. They've got Nick Castle coming back, who was the original Mike Myers actor.
I did see that. That's awesome.
Right? It's crazy. I'm so pumped to see it.
It's going to be really
great. The first Halloween is my favorite of the classic horror films. Like when you're like, oh, what's your favorite? Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, it's Halloween.
Halloween.
100%.
100%. It's a good one. It's great. I think out of all of those kinds, it would be my favorite.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. We already talked about it a little. You probably said all the things you had to say on it, I bet.
I did. I definitely
did. But man, does it look good. I'm so excited. I do have some honorable mentions here. I don't know if you prepared some.
I have a number one that we haven't gotten to yet.
Oh, goodness.
I think hearing my number one, you will understand why Halloween or anything wasn't higher on the list. Because it's Bohemian Rhapsody, the biopic about Queen and Freddie Mercury. And I love the shit out of Queen and Freddie Mercury. And I'm so goddamn excited that it's going to be coming out. It's coming out in November, days before my birthday, which is exciting. That'll be a really nice weekend. Directed by Bryan Singer, who, if you don't know, directed X-Men, X-Men 2, X-Men Days of Future Past, and X-Men Apocalypse. Which is bizarre to me. No. God damn it. God! Why don't I know as much about shit as you do? Okay, well, we'll just change the whole tone about this. We'll change the whole tone of this.
So, it's directed by Bryan Singer.
It is directed by Bryan Singer, which is weird for a couple reasons. It should have some good writing, because the writer, Anthony McCartan, also wrote Darkest Hour and Theory of Everything.
There you go.
2 former biopics that were critically acclaimed. I don't know what's going on with that director.
See, we've got accusations here.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's in jail, but again, this is one of those times where you're like, a lot of people say it. So
maybe there's something to it, and maybe you don't dishonor Freddie Mercury.
The reason I'm not more So here's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. This is coming out weird because during the middle of her being excited for this movie just now, I slipped her a little thing that said Bryan Singer has some accusations there, so we should maybe address that. So it's a little hard to.
Yeah, it's hard for me to be like, God, I'm so excited about this, and then be like, I guess I'm still excited about this. Damn, yeah. I'm excited for everything except the chosen director for this film.
That's fair.
All the trailers look fucking great. Rami Malek, amazing decision for.
Well, here's the thing. This movie sounds like it's been a mess getting put together.
Ugh.
Originally, Sacha Baron Cohen was going to be Freddie Mercury.
Another great decision.
But Queen, the remainders, the band Queen, wanted the movie to be focused mostly on not Freddie Mercury, but the rest of the band Queen, on dealing with Freddie Mercury no longer being around.
Yeah.
And Sacha Baron Cohen went, it's not really a story when it's not about Freddie Mercury. Mm-hmm. So they canned him, and they got Rami Malek. I'll say that trailer looked good.
It looked really great. Whoever edited that trailer did a great fucking job. It's a really great mashup of Queen music. It all flows together really, really well. I will say, I'm excited to see Rami Malek in this. He's got really good presence. He was a Night at the Museum.
That's also true.
Which is such a great film. Such a great character that he plays. Not like a critically acclaimed, beautiful, classic film, but a good enough film for what it is. He also plays the main character in the video game Until Dawn.
Interesting.
And what they did for that was they had the actors in motion capture suits to the point where their facial features were being like very closely captured. So that everything you're seeing in the video game is basically just an illustration of this person's body, face, what have you. And he plays such a complex character in that video game. I don't want to give away spoilers for anyone who hasn't played it. So, like, ending comments, I guess I'm technically more excited to see every single film I have named, except Bohemian Rhapsody. Rami Malek is probably the reason, if I do go see it in theaters, it's probably the reason I'll see it in theaters. Otherwise, I'll steal money from the director and just watch it online. Damn. But you know, Black Klansman sounds amazing. Sounds great. Can't wait to see it.
I'm sorry to have to be the one to slide you these pieces of paper.
So on top of that usually too. It's so wild, and I don't know how that wasn't.
It's been one of those like open secrets in Hollywood for a while.
I don't know how it hasn't been like a little more everywhere. Because the internet's pretty good about that.
It's because his thing was pretty public before everything happened. So they were like, oh yeah, and also Bryan Singer's been a rapist. So we don't have to talk about that now. Everyone knows.
How disappointing. How disappointing. Well, alright. Well, we're at the end of the episode.
In the idea that a lot of people have, I sometimes have it. I go back and forth on the way of separating art from artists.
Yeah.
A lot of those X-Men films are good.
Yeah.
lot of
Days
them are
of Future
pretty good.
Past is a mess.
I like Days of Future Past.
It's weird. I agree. I agree with separating the art from the artist. It's just the sad fact that often when you do that and you still take in that art, you're still giving money to a rapist. And that's
fair.
a weird thing to tangle with in your mind.
That is fair.
But I slacked on honorable mentions. But I'm sure you have some. You are always 10 times more excited about movies than I ever am.
I'm so excited for the rest of this year. I don't have Bohemian Rhapsody on my honorable mentions. I'll say that. But I am excited for another movie that I believe's out in theaters right now. So this is an extra big challenge for me.
All right.
It's Blind Spotting.
Ah.
The trailer looks really good. Daveed Diggs.
Daveed Diggs is so great.
He stars in it.
He's so great.
And it's a screenplay he wrote.
Oh my god, I love him so much. I love him. I love him in Hamilton. I love his like rap group that does things separately of Hamilton. I love him so much.
I hope I get to see it. I might not though, because even more so, as you've heard, I want to see 8th Grade and Sorry to Bother You, which is also out in theaters right now.
Dope.
Also, I'm excited for The Predator.
What is that? I've been seeing stuff about that.
I mean, it's another entry in the Predator series.
Oh, that's what I was scared of.
But it's Shane Black coming in. He's directing an entry into this action series that's oddly not one of them that he started in the 80s. Because he was a big writer in the 80s, wrote Lethal Weapon, wrote a bunch of other movies. And you know what? I just love Shane Black. His recent director things being The Nice Guys. He did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang pretty recently. Bunch of good stuff lately. So this one I'm really excited to see. We have also Suspiria. Unlike how I'm uncautiously optimistic for Halloween, this is more caution than optimism.
That's probably very wise.
But you know what? Maybe it's good.
Maybe it's going to be great.
It's a remake of the Italian Giallo classic. And you know what? Hope it's good.
You know, I hope for you that it's good.
Man, that movie's informed so many of my lighting decisions on, like, a lot of... If I'm lighting a horror film, I'm like, can we do it like Suspiria, please? And they'll either say, yeah, Suspiria's great, or they'll be like, no, this is not Suspiria, get out of here.
Get the fuck out.
Moving on. I'm excited for a lot of movies. I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm just going.
You do this, so maybe I can be in a better mood for the rest of the week.
There we go. I'm excited. This is a recent thing that I heard about. Mid-90s is the name of this movie. Jonah Hill making his directorial debut. And it's about the era that I was born in.
Same.
It's put out by A24. Dude. I don't know enough yet to be too excited, so it's not on the list, but it sounds really good to me. And also, here's one that I don't think you're excited for at all. The Happy Time Murders.
Not excited. Not at all.
It's adult Muppets. It's about puppets being murdered. It stars frenemy of the show, Melissa McCarthy. And the trailer looks really funny to me.
It had me for like the first half, and then I just couldn't deal with it.
It had me until the gratuitously long ejaculation joke at the end.
That's fair. I think that's a fair critique about anything.
But otherwise, the lowbrow humor that had been in the trailer before that, I enjoyed. And, you know, it feels reminiscent of the other adult puppet film, Meet the Feebles, which it's just fantastically obscene, and I'm all about it. So I hope this is more like that than it is a garbage movie.
Yeah, that is the hope. You know, I'll be hopeful for you about that. I'm feeling very generous at this moment in my life.
Well, that's good. How generous of you.
Thank you. I am wonderful.
So thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, of course.
It's been nice talking about all these movies that so far we've loved. And that, some movies we haven't gotten to see yet. But we're going to hope that we love them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited for quite a few of these. It's going to be a good year.
For the audience out there, if you want to listen to more episodes, you can find them probably where you found this one. But you can also find them on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean. It's on all kinds of places. I don't even know where all the podcast has ended up. You can check us out on Instagram as All About Movies Pod. And you can check us out on Facebook under All About Movies. So until next time, everybody,